Ninja Steel, the concepts. I've got to stop doing these title jokes because it's not going to make sense out of Dino Charge. Right, this is Ninja Steel Megazord. And it's, well, I'm just going to say it. It's the probably the it's not exactly a good first Megazord to go out on because in case you don't know, Hasbro got the license for the merchandise in 2018, so this would have been the first core team Megazord Bandai of America did. Oh, the last one. The last core team Megazord that Bandai of America did. I'm not counting the Blaze Megazord because that's more like a power-up Megazord. Like a big bulky Megazord. This is the first. This is the last core team Megazord that Bandai of America did, and it's not a really good note to go out on, honestly. So, as usual, I'll go to the individual Zords and then we'll get to combining them. First up is the Robo Red Zord. Now, actually, before we get into this, I'm just gonna say that the overall theme of this Megazord appears to be unclear to just Power Rangers fans, because it's meant to be ninjas. You've got a robot, a dragon, a dump truck, a train, and a dog. That's because apparently in Japan, this Megazord, Shurikenjin in that case, was actually referring to other Super Sentai themes. So Red, Robo Red, or should it be Maru, was referring to Mecha like from Kaka Ranger or the Alien Rangers. Blue, Dragon Maru, was referring to Die Ranger or the Thunder Zords and Mighty Muffin, I believe. And then the yellow Dump Maru was referring to things like Borkenja or Operation Overdrive. White, the dog, was referring to stuff like Gar Ranger or Geki Ranger or Wild Force and Jungle Fury. And pink, the train, was referring to the as of yet unadapted Resha Sentai Tokyuja. And I don't think it'll ever get adapted because trains probably won't sell. So in Japan, like with Super Mega Force at Gokaiger, the Megazord makes some sense. Everywhere else where it's taken out of context, that idea just goes right out the window. It doesn't make any sense. There's no explanations given in Power Rangers. They do try. I mean, I'll give them that because there are some Zord connections. They did try to justify the Megazord looking like this by giving the Red Ranger's companion called Redbot, it looks a bit like this. Giving the Blue Ranger like a dragon kite, giving the other Ranger like a van, even though it's not meant to be a van, it's a dump truck. Giving the White Ranger like I think a husky dog, and giving the Pink Ranger a hoverboard, which makes no sense because the Zord is a train and not a hoverboard. So they did try to justify it in Power Rangers, but only about 20% of that actually makes sense. No, actually, I want to say about 60% of that makes sense because the train and the dump truck, they don't make sense because the train's replaced by a hoverboard in the story for Ninja Steel, and the dump truck's replaced by just a normal off-roader, which again doesn't make any sense. Right, enough of me blabbing on about that. We have the Red Ranger Zord here, which is Robo Red Zord. Now, again, like I mentioned before in the show, there's for Ninja Steel, there's a little robot companion called Redbot, and he doesn't transform into this Zord, because this Zord and the Redbot character do two different things in the Ninja Steel universe. It was likely that the Robo Red Zord was designed after Redbot, so there's given some justification for that. But again, they try to overshadow the whole ninjas idea with robots. It doesn't work. It really doesn't. Anyway, Robo Red Zord. Compared to the Japanese version, the paint on this is pretty bad. Sure, the paint on the face is still nice because there's metallic silver, metallic gold on the chest, some white paint here, but everywhere else there is zilch. It's just blank. It's meant to be painted. As far as I know, the legs are meant to be painted. I think some yellow as well, but so that was missed out. Another thing about this particular Zord is that apparently when I tried to get this whole setup done before I started filming, which was yesterday, it wouldn't stand for me, so I had to put it in this weird kneeling position. And apparently that was a problem with the original Japanese Shinobi Maru figure as well. Articulation on this figure's I won't say it's standardized, but it's not too bad for a Zord compared to the others. The arms move all the way around. There's some movement at the hips, I assume that is, and there's also some movement down here for the knees, although it's just one piece. So there's more articulation in this Zord than the rest of the entire Megazord Zord. So well done, Robo Red Zord, for figuring that one out. Now, the next Zord is, actually, almost forgot to show the back. This is one of the things I think is a bit jarring about this and the Japanese version, having a great big flipping connector sticking out his back. A bit jarring, but again, what can you do? They could have made it a separate piece. They could have allowed you to attach it. I don't know, but equally I don't really mind, because, I mean, realistically, how else were they supposed to get around this for a design? Right, so the next Zord we have is the Dragon Zord, and this is one, actually just going to move this out of the way, because if we don't do it, we won't be able to see the Dragon Zord in its form here. The Dragon Zord is by far the biggest Zord in this set. I think that's the wings and the tail attached. What do I think of this Zord? Just going to check to see if the lights are playing up or not. It's not, because it is light outside after all. The Dragon Zord, I mean, it looks alright at face value, but when it comes to functionality, there's a major massive drop. Yeah, sure, they've painted it up nice with the blue and the gold and the silver, which is all done in metallic paint, so must applaud that. The eyes are done in red. There's no eye black detailing on the eyes, but again, that's just pretty much normal for this thing, isn't it? Don't even know that the original Japanese versions had that, because again, I'm not a complete study when it comes to paint applications. There's obviously some bits of paint missing with the on the front here, as you can see, because there's an abundance of the colour black. Paint on it's missing, the tail's missing a gold piece, which should be around about here. It's missing that. I think the wings are fine though. I think the wings aren't missing paint at all. So they were lucky that the original Japanese version was missing paint on the wings to begin with. However, the wings on this are made of soft plastic. I believe the wings on the Japanese version were made of hard plastic, similar to the rest of the plastic the Mecha was made out of. The Megazord was made out of. Articulation wise, it's not looking very good. The arms do move, but not all the way round. And the legs do move, but in one block, and I think that is the same as the Japanese version. So not as much articulation as some people might want to see, but it's got to work within the designer's perspective, I guess. Right, moving on to what is essentially the Nitro Zord, which is meant to be a dump truck, and they pass it off as a 4x4. Which doesn't help from the fact that in the show, this piece comes up here and throws rocks at whatever Galaxy Warriors contestant they're facing. Sometimes. So that's not good. The front of the item has got quite a bit of paint detailing, because from Power Rangers 2 at least, because there's gold on the ups, on the top, and there's a little painted little Yellow Ranger symbol here, and there's also a metallic gold piece here. Now this keeps wanting to fall off. See, it comes off quite easily, so I am not a fan of that, to be honest. Reattach it. The wheels do all spin, and the rest of the figure's pretty much bare. It's just one yellow brick. Again, they've done some molded detail nicely on the bottom, with this part here, but that is literally it for this item. There's nothing else to really say about it, apart from the fact they've put a flipping Zord Builder port on here. I'm not really a fan of that because it sticks out. Anyway, moving on to the Kodiak Zord. And again, this is pretty much bare white plastic with the moulding detail done up quite well. Yeah, they've done some metallic gold on the tail and in the mouth, and apart from the paint on the head, that's about everything. Articulation there's just one hinge, which means you can either move the head or move the body, and that's it. Diddiest Zord ever. I know on the Japanese version you could move both sets of legs, but you can't do that on this version. Why not? And the last Zord we have is by far the most awkward one, the Zoom Zord. This comes in two pieces. You've got the pink one, and you've also got the black one, which we'll get to in a minute, but this is the Pink Ranger's main Zord. It's got, yeah, they keep the train aspect going pretty quickly, although in the show it's obvious it's meant to be a train and not a hoverboard. Pink paint's done up not too badly in my opinion. Gold's done up, there's actually quite a bit of metallic gold on here, which, yeah, I do like. But again, the rest of this is just bare. Again, molded details done nice. There are some wheels. There's some Zord Builder ports on here, which I don't really like. Problem with this Zord, because these two are meant to connect in this style, but there's no, like, they don't use the Zord Builder clips for that, because there are some. Instead, they insist you use a little janky connector that's meant to connect them both. And I can call it janky because every time I tried to connect it in the past, it always used to fall off. The hinge wasn't that strong. So, maybe don't do that. I know on the Japanese version there was like a little connector here that the legs could bend around, and it was meant to slide onto the bottom of the Nitro Zord. But they cut that out because budget. Right, before I forget, this white car, this black car here, this white one with the empty space, this is meant to be just useless unless this guy is in here. Which, yeah, it's like a little carrier for him, but I don't think I've seen a single Megazord that has done this idea before. Practically makes a Zord useless. So I'm not really a fan of that. And I know that the Zord's meant to split in half, and this is meant to be the holster for the leg. Which, yeah, in that idea I like it, but seen as like an empty, useless train car, they could have done more with it, especially because there's like so little paint on this thing. Ugh. Right, we'll get this combined into the Megazord mode, and I'll cover what the Shuriken does when we get to that, because that's important then. First thing we need to do is by far the trickiest thing. We need to take the Zoom Zord, both parts. We need to flip the connectors around, and they're pretty tight. Move the foot of the Zord up, and you now have a leg. Essentially do the same on the other leg too. And then what you want to do with the Kojak Zord is you want to move its head up like this. Insert it into the white leg, so it looks like this. And then what you got to do is bring in the Nitro Zord and remove the front part. There we go. And then we've got to fold up the wheels. On the Japanese version, the fist would fold out. It doesn't do that on this version, but yeah, you have a arm basically. And then you have to take the main body of the Nitro Zord. There's two little connectors on the bottom, and you've got to forcibly put them in, and it's not easy taking them out. So when I assemble it, I will never try to disassemble it for a long time. See, it's not easy, and it will stand up like this. Now, one thing about the standing formation for this Megazord is that the knees are far too weak. They did put some articulation in here, which, yeah, I do agree, which I do like, but look at this. Far too weak on its feet. Also, several times... Oh yeah, you can kind of see it leaning backwards. It's wobbling. Oh no. I didn't do anything. I just had to wiggle it around a bit and it started wobbling. That's not good. Again, several times I saw that the knees were going back. So that's an issue. And then we've got to open the little footrest here. Now, again, on the Japanese version, that would have been two pieces. This, annoyingly, comes off quite easily. It's not like screw gun or anything. It's actually quite a challenge to get back in if you don't know what you're doing. Right, then we've got to attach the Nitrozord arm. Then we've got to take the Dragon Zord here, remove the wings, the tail, push the arms up as far as they will go, use it as an arm. Now, one thing about the dragon wings here is that to form a shield, this would normally split in half, and then it would be connected another way with these two edges at the top connecting. But yeah, this version doesn't do that. But we'll get to the accessories in a minute. But all you need to do with Robo Red Zord is basically just sit him down and plug him in. And of course you can fiddle around with the controls to make him hold them, which I will try to do now, but it's not going to be easy. I swear this is a lot easier on the Japanese version. There we go. He's holding them now. Apparently any 5-inch figure, I think, can sit inside the cockpit, which is unnecessary. And also, since they're lacking clips on the back of the Zord, they won't stay in all the way, which means they'll fall out quite easily. And to finish the Megazord off, we need to quickly get a hold of the Shuriken here, which, in comparison to a normal roleplay Shuriken, is actually pretty big. There is no details, no paint, no stickers, no nothing. It's just black. The face has been sculpted quite nicely, but I'll get to that later. The top, yeah, this is not compatible with the roleplay gear, even though it looks like it should. It's not, because I mean, for a start, there's no rails on the back, which means it's unable to be read by any device. The top's been sculpted nicely though. Flip the face down and attach to the top of the Megazord. And this is basically the Ninja Steel Megazord. Yeah, design-wise in Power Rangers it makes no sense. But again, if you've seen Super Sentai, if you know how they like their anniversaries to work, you will know, you will figure it out pretty quickly. The dragon tail and the shield can of course be used as a sword. I'm not going to do that because it's going to pack out. And a shield. I think this is the first time in a while I've had a shield item be on a Power Rangers Megazord. It attaches using these two little pegs here onto the two holes on the Dragon Zord, which again is a lot more awkward to do than it looks. I might actually have to take this off screen while I do it. And does it really work? Not really. It looks like he's sitting down on the shield. Looks like he's kind of sitting it between his two legs. Does it really work? No, not really, but they tried at least. Because it is meant to be in a different position, like a different shape. And one more thing I will show off on this Megazord is that one thing that's briefly touched on by the instructions, but more so in the show, is that just like Shurikenjin from Japan, this also has a dragon mode, and it's not really acknowledged in the instructions. Right, so to get to a dragon mode, you've got to remove the top Shuriken, remove Robo Red Zord, put him back in his standing position, remove the Dragon Zord, fold him up like this, set him inside, and then what we've got to do for Robo Red is we've got to fold up the arms here, fold up the legs around the back so the fist comes out, and it's very tight to get Robo Red on. The joint seems a lot tighter, so maybe I suspect a few quality control issues going on there. And then what we've got to do is on the back we've got a set of pegs at the bottom, attach the dragon tail to them, and attach the dragon wings to the builder peg on the back. And then we've got to lean. Oh, I'm going to try and do this as easily as I can off camera. We've got to lean the legs forward and lean the knee joints forward. And Wazar, we have the dragon mode. Does this mode really work? Not a chance. Here we go. The front of the Megazord looks fine, but the back just looks like an abomination in my opinion. They've literally just decided to super glue the dragon pieces onto the back of the Megazord. It doesn't really work. And I think I may have assembled it wrong because, or I don't know how my joints are going, but this likes to fall over like really easily. So that's not a good sign. So they don't really acknowledge the dragon mode in the instructions. Nor do they really talk about it on the back of the box, I think. Oh, and one more thing I've just remembered. On the box, they classify Robo Red as a bonus figure, implying that he does not count as one of the 5 Zords out of the box, when he does, really. Which is a shame. And one more thing I will say about the Dragon Zord is that, originally, it came with 1 Shuriken core. In the Japanese version, that's the center part, and the blades could be switched out from the red to the blue, because there was meant to be like a blue shuriken that you could attach to the core and then put it on top of the dragon's head to trigger more sounds. But it's really annoying how they cut that bit out, because it would have been really simple. They just would have needed to make another one of those shurikens, for example, and they must have been quite cheap to produce. So yeah, that is basically the Ninja Steel Megazord review, and it's all in pieces because it's doesn't really want to cooperate. And because this video is long enough as it is, and also because the camera's running out of battery, I will save the 2 auxiliary Zords, which are the Rumble Tusk Zord and the Astro Zord, for next Monday's video. So if you want to see that, stay the hell tuned.